Hello children, welcome back to our social class. So today we are going to learn about a new chapter in history. Okay, so what is the name of the chapter? It is chapter 9, The Making of National Movement 1870s to 1947. Okay, so we are going to see what all changes took place in our national movement from 1870s to 1947. Okay, so as you have already learned in your previous chapters, we saw the British conquest of territories and taken over of kingdoms. We saw about the introduction of new laws and administrative institution, changes in the lives of peasant and tribal, educational changes, what happened in 19th century, isn't it? And in the previous class, we learned about the condition of women, the challenges to caste system, social and religious reform. Okay? And do you remember the revolt of 1857 and its aftermath? And finally, the decline of craft and growth industries. Okay? So, on the basis of all these issues, how the Indians were discontent with the British. Okay, so we are going to see what was the after effect of this. So, shall we start? So, our first topic is the emergence of nationalism. So, as mentioned above, all these critical developments led to a question. What was the question? What is this country of India and for whom it is meant? Okay, so for whom the country is and what is India? So the answer that gradually emerged was India was the people of India. Okay, what is India? India was the people of India, and all the people, irrespective of their caste, class, color, creed, language, or gender, all of them were Indians. Okay, so and the country, its resources and systems were meant for all of them. Okay, so all the resources and the systems were for all the people, irrespective of their class, color, caste, creed, language, or gender. So when this answer came out, the awareness that British were exercising control over the resources of India and the lives of its people, and until this control was ended, India could not be for Indians. So they thought that the Britishers were using all their resources, and until you make them solve this problem, Indians will not get their own India. Okay, so this consciousness began to be clearly stated by political associations which were formed after 1850. Okay, so from 1870 to 1880s, many associations came. Okay, and most of them were led by English educated professional. Okay, who were this English educated professional? They were the lawyers. So the more important ones were the Pune Sarvajanik Sabha. What was the first one? Pune Sarvajanik Sabha, the Indian Association, the Madras Mahajan Sabha, the Bombay Presidency Association, and of course the Indian National Congress. Okay, so which were the main associations? Underline it. Pune Sarvajanik Sabha, the Indian Association, the Madras Mahajana Sabha, the Bombay Presidency Association, and the Indian National Congress. Okay. So what is this Pune Sarvajanik Sabha? So literally meaning Sarvajanik. What is Sarvajanik? So Sarvajanik is of or for all the people. Okay, Sarva means all, Janik means for the people. So it is for all the people. Though many of these associations functioned in specific part of the country, their goals were stated as the goals of all the people of India and not those of any one region. It was not from one region, community or class. They worked with the idea that people should be sovereign. Okay, what is? They worked that the people should be sovereign. What is sovereign? See the definitions given. The capacity to act independently without outside interference. So without any interference, you are able to act independently. That is called sovereign. So a modern consciousness and a key feature of nationalism. So when you take the preamble, you can see this word sovereign there. In other words, they believe that Indian people should be empowered to take decisions regarding their affairs. Okay. So now what happened? The dissatisfaction with the British rule started intensifying during 1870s and 1880. because they passed an Arms Act in 1878. What is it? Arms Act in 1878. What was this act? It disallowed Indians from possessing arms. The Indians were not supposed to use any arm. That is called your Arms Act 1878. Okay. In the same year, another act was brought, which is called Vernacular Press Act. What is it? Vernacular Press Act. Okay. So which was also brought in silence. Okay. And the people who were critically criticizing the government were not allowed to put up their news in the paper. Okay. So this act allowed the government to confiscate the assets of newspaper, including their printing press, if the newspaper published anything that was found objectionable. So the Britishers had the power to stop the press if they put something against the British. That is your Vernacular Press Act. It was also passed in 1878. Okay. And the third one is called Ilbert Bill. What is it? Ilbert, I-L-B-E-R-T. Okay. It was passed in 1883. So there was a furthermore attempt by the government to introduce Ilbert Bill. Okay. So the bill provided that the British or European persons can be tried by Indians. Okay. The bill provided for the trial of British or European person by Indian and sought equality between British and Indian judges. But when white opposition forced the government to withdraw the bill, Indians were enraged. Okay. So they even highlighted the racial attitude of British in India. Did you understand? So Ilbert Bill, the British and the Indian were equally trial before law. But this was not accepted by the British. Okay. So these were the three main law. First one is Arms Act 1878. Second one, Vernacular Press Act 1878. And the third one is Ilbert Bill 1883. So that's all for today. Thank you, children.